I am.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, good. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this forum. I do appreciate you asking me to return virtually this time. Some things are different than in the past. Just for your awareness, I did receive all of the questions that were submitted, and for your information, if it does not sound like your specific question, I have reviewed them, and some of them are like duplicate or triplicate of the same type, so I will read one of them that fits the standard. If they were a statement, I tried to do the best I could to make it into a question. I'm going to start on my list. We have about 11 or 12 questions, and I know that they have the time limits for each that were discussed. I am going to go through my list that I have here. It wasn't decided, but it's a particular order I'm going to go through, then I'm going to rotate it as we ask the questions. So if the candidates are ready, I will go ahead and start with question 1.
We're going to do the 1-minute opening statement, though.
Oh, yes, you're correct. I'm sorry. I know it. I'm new to this. Never done it.
No, it's okay.
So I'm going to go through my list and ask each candidate to do their 1-minute opening statement. So we're going to go with Ms. Escobar, Patricia Escobar.
Good evening, Alisa, Oscar, directors, fellow candidates, and homeowners. I am a 33-plus-year resident of Sunnymead Ranch, a wife, a mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, friend, and neighbor. I am retired from the Riverside County Sheriff's Department, and most important, I'm ready to continue working for the homeowner. Currently, I am the appointed board secretary and treasurer. I am excited to be here tonight and hope that after listening to myself and fellow candidates respond to your questions, you mark your ballots and get that ballot mailed in. We need 670 households to vote. Please make sure you're one of those households. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. Next, we have Carolyn Goller. Is that correct?
That's right. Thank you, Oscar. Good evening, homeowners. And I appreciate your logging in today. I'm Carolyn Goller, a 24-year homeowner here at Sunnymead Ranch. And after an early retirement a few years ago, I first of all became a volunteer on the activities committee and subsequently became a co-chair for the activities committee. And I also lead the yoga club. But probably more importantly, I began to attend on a regular basis the open forum board meetings. And as I gradually listened to those, I began to realize that from my decades of business experience that I also have a lot of skill sets that would make me a good director. And I don't like to go into things too cold without being prepared. So I did proactively take an HOA education class at my own expense, and a lot of things learned there. And things that I learned were fiduciary duties, reserve accounts, insurance, contracts, CC&Rs, bylaws, etc.
That's your 1 minute. Sorry, Carolyn.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you for that. Next, we have Thomas Knowles.
Well, hello, everyone. As he said, my name is Thomas Knowles, and I've been in the real estate business since 1970. And I've been a resident here for the last 3 years. I moved here from South Hills in West Covina. And I felt as though I enjoyed this community so much. I thought maybe I'd throw my hat in there and see if I can create some kind of positive vibe for it. And that's just about it. I went to San Pedro High, Harbor College, Long Beach State, and I have a boy and a girl, and my daughter is an SBA director, assistant director for the SBA, and she worked for me for 10 years.
That's your time, Thomas.
Okay, that's good.
Thank you, Alyssa, for that. Next, we have Renee Osborne.
Let me just unmute myself. Hi, thank you, homeowners, for participating during your dinner hour. We really do appreciate your participating and learning more about all of us candidates. I've had the pleasure of serving as your director for the past 2 years. I remember sitting on one of these homeowner forums back then, and I felt fairly confident that I knew what I was doing. And I was, very optimistic about things and so on. Now, not to say that I'm jaded now, but thankfully I had fellow board members who encouraged me, as well as the general manager, to take CIA training courses. And so you view things through a different lens once you've had the training. So again, I'm not jaded, but I do view things differently than I did 2 years ago. I wanted to thank my fellow candidates for participating, and I hope that the homeowners will learn more about us tonight. And that's it. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Renee. Next, we have Joan Parrish.
Make sure I'm unmuted here. Good evening, homeowners. Just very quickly, I've been a homeowner in Sunnymead Ranch for a little over, well, right at 2 years now. And I actually sold my home in Riverside and moved to Moreno Valley then. And I've loved living here ever since. I have an extensive business background and am still currently employed as a risk and safety consultant. I have about 100 clients that I work with. So that experience, I believe that, I'd be an added value to the board, but also, working closely with people and just a personable personality, as it were. I think that it would, I would also add, some positivity and good collaboration and cohesiveness skills to the team. I as well just recently
And
signed up for.
your 1 minute was up. Sorry about that.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Next, we have Mr. Robert Riddick.
Okay, thank you, Oscar. So, good evening, all you homeowners out there. I've been here 28 years myself. So, a little bit about me. After my retirement in 2006 from the IT industry, in 2008, I had transitioned, becoming an HOA volunteer advocate as a result of being elected to the board for the very first time. I strongly believe that my 40+ years of past business and management experience makes me qualified to use the skills I developed in that environment and helping ensure that our HOA is governed in the best way possible. A little bit about me: I'm open-minded, a free thinker, reasonably intelligent, reasonably versed in the King's language. I'm deliberative, tend to get along well with those who are like-minded. I'm more of a cup half full rather than the cup half empty kind of guy, and capable of changing my mind if convinced that I should. When it's comes to positions of leadership, I firmly believe that the buck stops at the top. I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong or screwed up with handling things I'm responsible for, and I'll be the first to admit I'm not perfect and I'm capable of making mistakes. I spent the last 10 years plus educating myself as to how to best help govern our association with a $4.5 million budget like ours. And I like to think I've done a pretty good job so far, working with my fellow board members. My singular goal in wanting to continue to serve is to be able to provide the best quality of life for each and every homeowner who lives here by making sure that our home values are protected. And our HOA.
I believe your time is.
1 minute up. Sorry. Yep. Thank you. Sorry about that, Robert.
I know we got the timing, but we'll get through it.
Yep.
And then we have now Mr. Sonny Williams.
I'm gonna go fast. 20-year veteran, 100% disabled, on the board for 7 years. I'm currently the board vice president. I've read all CCNR's bylaws, Davis-Stirling Act. I read all of it. I don't remember all of it, but I did read all of it. I'm a people person. I went to all the board education classes. I told our previous general manager I want to go to everything they offer, and I did that. I'm a homeowner since 2010. I have tons of ideas, and I love helping homeowners. My big thing is I fight for the rights of our homeowners. I have 2.5 years of college, 8 kids. I love helping people. And I've been all over the world because my dad was in the Army 30 years. So I was raised in Germany, then to Texas. And then I got in the military when I was 18, went to Vietnam, and been everywhere. I'm well-traveled, well-versed in everything. But like I said, my main thing is I love helping homeowners. That's my big deal. That's it.
Great.
All right, thank you. So as we go through this, either Alyssa or myself, Alyssa, if you need to, you can wave your hand. If I see it, I can let them know about the timing because we are doing it virtually. And I know that we're getting used to this. So I'm going to go ahead and read the question. I'm going to go by my list again, and then I will rotate how the next question will go to the next candidate. So for the first question, this is going to start off with Patricia Escobar. We'll start with you. What type of training or experience do you feel has prepared you to serve as director?
I myself am in the learning process. I have read all of Davis-Stirling, studied on it, read all of our CCNRs, our bylaws, our guidelines. I've tried to continuously refer back to them when I have a thought or a question. I have received some training from Seabreeze Management Company, which is our current management company. I'm open for any knowledge that I can get. I would love to absorb some of the knowledge that our past board members have received, and I am willing to attend any and all of the classes that are provided and at my own expense, not to cause any hardship on the association. But I do like to research, so when I'm asked a question, I would gladly research it through the CCNRs, through our guidelines, check with Davis-Stirling, and that's about it.
All right, thank you. Excellent. Next, same question, and reminder, candidates, if you need me to repeat the question, please do so. Carolyn, are you okay with the question? You need me to
I'm
repeat
good.
it?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
It is yours.
Okay, with my varied experience over the last, I hate to admit it, 30 years, I have been in administrative and managerial roles and with direct reports. And with these jobs, I increased my level of positions, and the skill sets that I developed was research and analysis, written and oral communications, a collaborative working style, a creative mindset, and a goal-oriented performance. I make decisions based on ROI or return on investment. And that has served me well in moving up through the business world. I think those assets would make me a good director. And again, I will also take additional HOA leadership and education classes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, Mr. Thomas Knowles.
First of all, I'm a licensed real estate broker as well as a loan officer. I'm also have a designation as being a certified mortgage planning specialist, and I have a small mortgage company. I have trained over maybe 3,000 real estate agents a year when I worked for Quantum Management System. We used to be able to, one of the experiences that I had, we actually used to take the Bloods and the Crips out of prison and take them out to Joshua Tree and hang them over a 250-foot cliff and counsel them. And it's a great experience. But I say that because I want to contribute and be a positive influence to people. And we really had some fantastic results to that.
All right, that time is right there, Mr. Knowles. Thank you. Appreciate it. Next, we're going to go to Miss Renee Osborne.
Oscar, would you be so kind as to repeat the question for me?
Sure. What type of training or experience do you feel has prepared you to serve as a director?
Thank you for that. I've taken, as I mentioned, a number of different courses. It started off with the essentials of homeowner leaders training, as deep as California Common Interest Development Law courses. But in addition to that, like playground safety and how it impacts our homeowners, generational differences and so on. But my prior career really is what laid the foundation for my experience in working. I'm a data-driven person. I like to make decisions based on data as opposed to kind of gut reactions. I am collaborative. I have critical thinking skills. So that together with my HOA knowledge, and again, it's only this much based on my 2 years, makes me feel that I am capable of doing this job for our homeowners. Thank you.
All right, thank you, on cue, thank you. Next, Joan Parrish.
I'm not muted here. Well, so what type of training? So currently I just recently enrolled in the Home Leader Certification program with CAI. So I'm in process with that, but I also have many years of management experience as I worked with DA for 13 years and was in the trucking industry and banking industry prior to that. So I do understand operations and how, handling financials and things like that. But also on the analytical and critical thinking side as well. And kind of the reason I went into safety because it really does give a holistic approach, dealing with people as well as understanding how that impacts financials and business as a whole. So I think with all of that business acumen, as well as the college education and formal I have.
Thank you, Joan. That's a minute right there. Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Robert Riddick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so first of all, my last 26 years of working before I retired, I was in management and I managed any number of groups in size from 25 employees to almost 400 employees. When I retired and became an HOA advocate, I recognized the need for education and how to do the job the best I could. I actually enrolled in getting certified to become what they call a certified management manager. And I do have the ability, even right now, to go out and actually put myself in the job market to get a job as a association manager, but that's not why I did it. I did it because I really wanted to bring the best to the board when I got on the board. And I've continued that education to the best of my ability, every opportunity I've had. And matter of fact, one of the things that I'm very proud of is that several of the best practices magazines that are available to CAI members, I was part of the team that actually developed those best practices publications and with my association with another part of the industry as well. So I feel that I can bring all of that to the board. I've done it for the past 12 years and I'd like to continue doing it.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
And Mr. Sonny Williams, do you need me to repeat the question or are you okay? Turn your mic on. Your mic is not on right now.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. First of all, like I say, in the military, I taught leadership school, and I used to train supervisors on how to properly manage their troops. One thing I learned from my supervisor was don't bring me problems, bring me solutions. And I kept that all my life. I'm very innovative. Every single event I have hosted at the association was a smashing success. I had the mayor on down come to a board meeting, well, a political meeting that I did in our ballroom, and it was a packed room only. They went great, no problems or anything. So I'm very good at handling stuff. Like I said, I've gone to every leadership school, or not every leadership, every event that the HOA hosts that I can learn from. I've gone to all of them. And again, I read all the CC&Rs, bylaws, Davis-Stirling. I read everything. I'm well educated on the board and the board business, and with my 2.5 years of college, which helped me out also. And the biggest thing about me is that I love people tell me all the time.
All right,
that I love helping people.
Your time is right there.
That's why I got on the board.
Thank you, sir. All right. So now I'm going to go to question 2, and we're going to start off this time with Carolyn. I'm going to start it with your first name for hearing out. So
Okay.
Carolyn, the question would be, regarding this Davis-Stirling Act, why is it important to me as a homeowner?
Well, the Davis-Stirling Act is actually a state law. It is part of the California Corporation Code. And why it's important to us, it's really what we have to go by. Our CC&Rs are actually, it comes above the CC&Rs, and it certainly comes above the bylaws. So it's state law, and we have to be very careful about following that as an HOA. I think if there's anything else I can say about it, other than it's kind of just a bunch of guidelines that we have to careful follow. It is state law.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thomas, the same question?
Will you mind repeating the question, please?
Sure. Regarding the Davis-Stirling Act, why is it important to me as a homeowner?
Oh, okay. I guess it's always prudent to understand what the guidelines are and what you have to do. Myself, as far as working on the board, I'm relatively new to this, but I have worked with a lot of homeowners associations through my dealings with condos and getting them pre-approved for different types of loans and stuff like that. But I would not say that I'm an expert on the Stirling law, which I'm not. And so but I think it's something that I will research in the future. I can't hear you. Hello?
Apologies. Next, Renee.
Thank you. Thank you, Oscar. Davis-Stirling, I know before I came on the board, I was not even aware of what the heck Davis-Stirling was. But Carolyn is correct. So we have the federal and the state laws, and there's this whole hierarchy. So after the feds come the state laws. Davis-Stirling is state law, contrary to some people's opinions there. Davis-Stirling protects we as homeowners. Everything from the board cannot have secret meetings. They must be posted. We have to get out our budgets to you at a certain period of time because you are what I'll call shareholders. So Davis-Stirling is put in place to protect homeowners. Bottom line, that's what it's about, and that's why we must follow it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, Joan.
Well, I'm not familiar with, the act verbatim, but it's been stated that it's a state law, and knowing regulatory stuff as I know, usually if there's a law put in place, it's because somebody has overstepped or done something that they shouldn't have done. And so then regulations are made so that it protects everybody. So it does protect the homeowner for sure at large, but it also protects everybody. It protects the association. It protects everybody because it makes it very clear, as they stated, the rules are in place there for a reason, but also to give you the opportunity, to question those things as well. I'm sure it can be brought up. It doesn't mean it would, wheels of justice move slow, but it is to protect everyone. If it's a law and it's supposed to be there, it's supposed to protect us.
Thank you for that. Next, Robert.
So historically speaking, the Davis-Stirling Act is exactly what the other folks have said it is. It is state law. There is no getting around that. It is state law. It's part of the California Civil Code. You have to go back 30, 35 years before Davis-Stirling became state law and think about what was going on then. It was really the wild, wild west as far as HOA associations and how they were governed. As someone said, there were secret backroom deals going on out away from the homeowners of knowledge. There were deals being cut with contractors where no one on the board or no one of the members knew about it. State law was imposed to protect homeowners, to protect the value of their homes by this set of laws that said, this is how boards are going to be governed. These are the rules. These are the things that you're required to do. They range from everything from having a maintenance program in place to having board meetings scheduled regularly, to having financial reporting, to having a whole list of things that are important and all designed for one thing, to protect the value of your property as a homeowner. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, sir. And Sunny.
Yes, sorry about that, Robert. This is new to me. As long as I've been on the board, I never knew that Davis-Stirling was a state law. Davis-Stirling is a a bunch of rules that are put out. Okay, there's nothing that says they have to be followed or anything. Same as the CCNRs. The Davis-Stirling Act is it's not a state law. It has no way to punish people. It can't make people do things. Davis-Stirling is just a bunch of lawyers that get together and looking for work in HOAs. They're looking to represent HOAs and Davis-Stirling, but like our bylaws will override Davis-Stirling, as far as I know. This is something new to me. How can everybody be wrong and I be right? So I'm not going to swear at it, but to me, I never knew it to be a state law. I have no idea what that is. Davis-Stirling being state law, because like I say, it doesn't tell us what to do. It gives us suggestions. They're all suggestions. That's it. That's all I got to say.
All right, thank you. Next question, and we're going to start off with Thomas on this one. What is your definition between operating expenses, capital expenses, and reserve expenses?
Operating expenses is things that continuously come up from time to time. If you're looking to have replenishment of gasoline in your truck, it's an ongoing expense. Capital expense generally, as I would define it, as something that's lasting, that you're looking to get some long-term benefit from, and generally it's like I said, it's long-lasting. And I believe the other one was operation of
Reserve expenses.
Reserve expenses, because you never know what's going to come up. That there's some expenses that you want to set aside, like a savings account, because you never know what is things that are surprising. You have, especially here in California, you have all of these extreme earthquakes and different things.
That's good. Thank you, sir.
Uh-huh.
Next, Renee.
Thank you. So operating expense, capital expense, reserve expense. Operating expense is like what we deal with as homeowners. You pay the electric bill, you pay childcare. That's easy. I'll jump to reserve expenses. I was chatting with a homeowner just recently about so based on state law, we are required to have a reserve account and reserve studies done so that we know, we'll say like the roof over the lake club, at some point in time, it needs to be replaced. So the reserve account where we put $2 a month, for over 30 years or something, just pulling the numbers out, so that when the roof needs to be replaced, we don't have to go out and ask for a special assessment. We have that money set aside, like setting money aside for the hot water heater in your garage. Capital expenses, however, are improvements. So if we wanted to expand the size of the.
All right, thank you, Renee. Appreciate
Thank
that. Mm-hmm. Joan?
So the way I understand this to be is operating expenses would be like the day-to-day expenses that come up, even as far as, the utilities and things like that come up. Capital expenditures would be like large expenditures that you maybe need to, amortize over time. Maybe it's something like we had the fencing project, we've had some different things. Those things are capital expenditures. And then reserve expenses, what I know from my past, typically it's something like a legal case. If something's coming up where a legal case is concerned, or for big emergencies that might come up, like was mentioned, an earthquake, there's things that you have to have like a business continuity plan, and you have those things set aside for those, emergency expenditures.
Thank you. Robert?
Okay, so I'll start off with the operating expenses first. Those are the day-to-day expenses that we incur. That's how we pay our contractors. That's how we pay our employees. That's how we pay the expenses that are incurred by the association itself. Moving on to reserves, it's been noted by a couple so far to be accurate, and that is that the reserves are the money that's set aside for all of the things that have a certain lifetime and belong to the association. For instance, our clubhouse. it's going to need repair at some point in time. The roof's going to need to be repaired. So what we do is part of our assessments, allocate a certain amount of that money to go into the reserves account in anticipation of that roof one day failing and the money being there. The last one is going to be the capital expenses. Capital expenses are monies that you actually spend on new items, amenities that you didn't have before, or you're greatly improving or modifying existing amenities. And it's going to cost money that you do not have. You got to figure out where that money is going to come from because it's not funded. So those are the three differences: capital expenses, non-funded. Operating expenses every day, reserves. Sorry.
Thank you. That's all right. Thank you, Robert. Sunny.
Okay, everybody just about got it all right. Operating expenses, something going on daily, like that happens every day. You have a certain expense set aside that you can go to without having a board meeting. It's like maybe $1,200. You can fix like outlets or fix picnic tables, daily expenses like that. Reserve expenses are for emergencies like earthquakes and whatever, floods and stuff like that. Capital expenses, once again, are lasting benefits, improvements for a new structure, new playground, new tennis court or something like that, new basketball court. That's what the capital expenses are. I think I hit all the three of them.
All right, thank you. And Patricia?
Okay, thank you. Our operating expenses are our everyday expenses that cover our maintenance of our landscape, our trees, or our irrigation, things that we have to deal with every day, our utilities. Capital are our new items that that have a new value. And when we go to the reserve is based on what the plan is, how long something will last, and how soon we will need to replace that item, be it the clubhouse, be it if there's an earthquake or something, God forbid, and there's major damage, and we go to our reserve account, and that's funded through our assessments, periodic, all the time, but just a small portion, so that we don't have to, at the end of the struggle, make a special assessment from each homeowner. It's a bank. Thank you.
Thank you. And then finally, Carolyn.
Okay, I think we've had some good descriptions of what the operating expenses are. And the reserve account, in my opinion, is funds that are set aside because we know with an aging community like ours, things are going to wear out, need to be replaced. And that's what the reserve account is for. And I'm happy to say we're fully funded on our reserve account. Capital expenses, though, like they're usually large projects and there's not a budget for them. There's not money set aside for them. So for capital expenses, new things like amenities, putting greens, whatever it might be, the money for those has to come from somewhere. So it can come from special assessments. It can come from maybe extra money in the operating budget, but oftentimes it's borrowed from the capital expenses, and it has to be repaid within 1 year. Last thing we want to see is it becoming a special assessment, but that's why we have to be careful on what capital expenses that we go through.
Thank you, Carolyn.
You're welcome.
Now, this might have been my error. If I missed somebody on a question, please let me know. And I will ask though, Patricia, did I ask you question number 2?
No, sir, you did not, and I'd be happy to answer it.
Okay, I would like to do that to be fair to the candidate. That's my error right there, so everybody knows. So I'm going to go that, then I'm going to go forward. So Patricia, question 2 was regarding the Davis-Stirling Act. Why is it important to me as a homeowner?
Okay, the Davis-Stirling Act, as I have been educated through Seabreeze, is a guideline set for associations to protect the homes, the families, and the values. It also incorporates civic code and corporate code. Our bylaws will trump the guidelines of Davis-Stirling as instructed, as advised through Seabreeze. We do have civil codes and corporate codes to follow. Davis-Stirling is a very detailed, very inclusive guideline that addresses everything you could possibly think about in a homeowners association. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. My apologies. Okay, next question. We're going to start off with you, Renee. Can you explain your understanding of the business judgment rule?
Yes, okay. Business judgment rule, as I understand it. So we are all homeowner volunteers. There's not an expectation that I'm an engineer. However, as a board member, as a director, it is incumbent upon me to do my research, do due diligence, and make sure that the decisions that we make as a board, that deliberative body, it's not just off the cuff, that we have done our homework. We have talked to people, we have gotten other bids, we have talked to various engineers or so on, because we are not experts. And if we in fact do that, then we are insulated somewhat by the business judgment rule that the courts have found favorably on boards. As long as we do our due diligence, then we are protected from being sued.
Thank you, Renee. Thank you for that. All right.
Thank you.
Next one goes to Joan.
Business judgment, bottom line, I would think would be number one, common sense. But you know, that's up for debate, right? Yeah, I believe that it's, you do your research, you speak with the subject matter experts on whatever it is you're trying to make a decision on, and then you collaborate with your other board members and, you know, put your heads together to come up with a good decision. That's basically the way that that's going to benefit all the homeowners.
All right, thank you. Next, Robert.
Same question.
Explain your understanding of the business judgment rule.
Sure. So the business judgment rule says basically what Renee said and what Joan said. It's your protection as a board member. It means that you've done your due diligence when coming to a decision about an issue in front of the board that you're going to take a vote on. It doesn't matter what the issue is, as long as you've researched it, you've done your due diligence. In the event that there are negative impacts or results of that decision that you made, the courts will hold you harmless if you can demonstrate that you've done all those things, due diligence before making that decision. It's almost like the practical man rule. The court is going to look at you and say, is this what the typical practical man would do in the same and similar situation? And if the judge sees that the board members sided on that side of being like a practical man, then they're going to prevail. If they don't, then they violated the business judgment rule. It's really a protection mechanism for the board. Do your job right, do due diligence, and make sure that you're all in conformity with the decision you're going to make, and you have done exactly what you're supposed to do in satisfying the business judgment.
All right, thank you. We're out of time. Sunny.
This is a good one for me because I'm so excited about helping out homeowners with all these ideas that run through my head every day, and I'm trying to get them done to please homeowners. And then I have my board president, Mona, come and tell me, hey, we got business judgment rule. We have to go by that to make sure that we're protecting everything. And then I go to Pat and she explains to me what she means by that. So I've learned real hard and real fast from my two of them, that it's to protect us, and so that if we ever have to go to court, at least we show good faith that we meant well. We weren't trying to steal money or embezzle anything or help a friend out or anything like that. So I'm very much up on the business journey to Mona and Pat. That's it.
All right, thank you. Patricia, same question.
Business judgment rule to me means that I am responsible to do the research, to bring the research forward to my fellow board members and any homeowner that may ask. I'm representing the homeowner, and I want to be as accurate and positive with what I'm doing, how I'm doing, and what we're getting for our money. In other words, I don't want to make a decision that I haven't checked all the laws and guidelines on, that I haven't gone through and made my own research, my own spreadsheets, and figured it out myself so that I can intelligently answer every single aspect of a project that we're trying to do. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, Carolyn.
Okay, it kind of a little bit of what everybody said, but to me, it's actually a legal principle to have the HOA directors not held liable for decisions. We may end up in court in a case, but as directors, it protects us, assuming that any decisions that were made were done in good faith. And again, our due diligence in researching and knowing what we voted on. And it's to protect us as directors, but just doing our fiducial duty, acting in good faith, and doing our research before we make decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. And Thomas.
Following what the other members have said, I would say that it would involve making sure that we are not in a larceny mood when we're making decisions, and that we're making decisions that can be proven to be prudent and and in good faith is what I would say.
All right, thank you. Now we're going to go to the next question. And Joan, we're going to start with you. This one is, have you taken HOA training classes? And if so, please provide details on that.
I've not taken, well, I mean, I'm currently enrolled in the home leader certification courses with CAI, but other than that, no. I mean, it's just been my formal education, bachelor's degree from Cal Baptist, and then master's degree in occupational safety from an online master's program.
All right, thank you, Joan. That kind of, if I realize on this, it also said, how will you go about being more knowledgeable? If not, and you answered that, so thank you.
Yes.
And then next, Robert.
Yes. Okay. So I can't even begin to tell you how many classes I've taken. One of the things that I've been involved in during my 12 years on the board is that every year there is a national conference put on by the National Organization for HOAs called CAI. I go to those conferences every year, most of the time at my own expense. And the purpose for that is because they offer a plethora of courses that every single board member, every single manager, and every single business partner should take if they have the opportunity to take them. And so I do that every year. Every year they're different. So for 12 years I've gone, and every year there are at least 25 courses. So multiply that. Plus I've self-educated myself doing other things with CAI. Matter of fact, I teach the courses. So I've taken a lot of the educational courses that have been offered by CAI, which is the premier organization for HOA education.
All right, thank you. Next, Sunny.
Yes, I have learned this in two different ways. In the military, I was the OJT manager for 20 years, which is on-the-job training. I taught supervisors how to properly train their people, how to treat them and everything like that. So I learned like that, and I've gone to all the classes up until last year. During COVID, there were no more classes, but I went to all that I could, and even volunteered to go to ones that didn't really have anything to do with that. I volunteered to go to things, but I also learned from just studying people and watching people and learning from other board members what they did and all that. Just two ways to learn that. That's on the job training and actual in-class studies. I got 2.5 years of college, so I'm pretty good at, getting my books together and reading them and studying them and different things like that. But it mainly has to do with learning from people and going to classes.
All right, thank you. Next, Patricia.
Yes, I have not taken any formal CAI classes, but Seabreeze has offered the board members classes in which I have participated in, taken notes, and have a book on them. I'm willing to attend any classes. I am currently on the board as their secretary treasurer, so I'm learning every single day. We do have a board member, Mr. Robert Reddick, who could be a mentor to all of us who are on the board, and we would definitely appreciate that with his experience. I just look forward to learning more and more every day, and I constantly am at my, there again, Davis-Stirling, my bylaws, my guidelines. I'm constantly referring back to them to make sure that what I am doing correctly, or to the best of my ability and to the best interest of our homeowners. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, Carolyn.
Yes, I totally believe in on-the-job training for a lot of things, but in the case of running an HOA, I think that those professional courses are important. As I mentioned in my introduction, I have taken one. It's a basic one, but it covered a lot of different topics. And if I get elected to the board, I wholeheartedly want to attend as many of those as possible. The learning is vast that we need to know to be up to speed on making good decisions and following the rules for an HOA. So that's where I'm going, to HOA or to CAI classes if elected.
All right, thank you. Next, Thomas.
Like many of the other members have said, I think the key to progress is education and understanding. Being a broker, I have been a loan broker. I have 8 hours every year that I have to do, and it's pretty tough. And then every 4 years, I have to renew my broker's license, and I have to take classes, especially with all of the technology that's available now. I have to take classes ongoing. So I'm looking to learn, and I know that is the way to go. And I don't want to say that I'm an expert. Where I am right now is in a process of understanding more so than coast to coast. More so than just being ready, because I'm sure, like the other lady said, in another couple of years, I'm gonna know more. Okay.
Thank you. All right. And the final one, Renee.
Thank you, Oscar. I, like Robert and Carolyn and someone have expressed, education is paramount. So while I agree with Sunny that on-the-job training is helpful, the challenge is that we have legislation that we have to follow. Otherwise, there's these huge pitfalls, and Joan will certainly, agree with me that we need to know what we're doing before we end up with a lawsuit on our hands. I talked about 2 years ago when there was a question about homeowner to homeowner, issue, and I had said, like, no, we shouldn't do that. Well, I went to some training courses that said, unfortunately, in 2016, California courts said you must get involved. So that's the benefit of having education, like formal education, to make sure that we don't shoot ourselves in the foot and end up with a huge lawsuit.
Thank you, Renee.
Thank
All right.
you.
So we're going to start off this question with Robert. How do you feel about fellow homeowners working for the association as employees or contract vendors, and why? Your mic is off.
Sorry about that. So this has been an issue that's been before the board for many, many years, as long as I've been on the board, which is 12 years. This has been an issue, and the reason that it keeps coming up is because we can never get to a point where we agree to either do it moving forward or don't do it moving forward. It's always an issue that comes up, and we try to weigh the merits of doing it either way. The prevailing sentiment is, and has been for years, that we get into sticky territory when we're dealing with a homeowner as a contractor, because there could be the time when the contractor defaults. And what do we do then when the contractor defaults? He's a homeowner as well, or she's a homeowner as well, and they've got every opportunity to present their case before the board. Well, how do we judge them if we're the same ones that are the plaintiffs in their default action? So nobody says it's going to happen every time, not even if it's ever going to happen, but we just want to be prudent, again, following the business judgment rule. Don't put ourselves in a position where we're going to be exposed to potential litigation by having a contractor who's also a homeowner default.
Thank you, Robert. All right, Sunny, you're next.
I'm on the opposite of that because I believe in keeping the money in the family, okay? A vendor is a vendor. They're licensed like everybody else. They got all the health thing, whatever they need, they have it. So a vendor is a vendor. And if we can keep money, because it's our money, if we can keep money in the family, then I see nothing wrong with hiring homeowners, okay? Not in the office though, because the office, you have everybody's name, phone number, address, personal information. But a vendor that works on electrical or works on plumbing or something like that, I see nothing wrong with keeping the money. It's our money. Keep it in the family. And most of the time the vendors jack up the price anyway. We pay an extra price. Most of the time the board members have not been saying, hey, that's too much money or anything like that. They just go, okay, that's what we charge, sure, we'll pay it. But we shouldn't be doing that. We should be saying, no, give me a break on the price. So a vendor is a vendor. They have the same laws that somebody that don't live in a ranch have. So to me, there's no difference except for working in the office.
You're muted.
Oscar, you're on mute.
Have it. Patricia?
Oh, yes. Okay. As far as employees, our employees are currently Seabreeze employees. We do not have any employees of our own for our association. Everybody is employed through Seabreeze. So we have no problem there. As far as contract vendors, I would like to see us open it up for our homeowners that are contractors. I've talked to several at different times. They are contractors. They want to bid. They want to do for their own community. And I feel that we should at least give them the opportunity to bid. They may not be the lowest bidder or the best bidder, but at least if we give them the opportunity, they feel a better part of the community, and I'm in favor of it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Carolyn, you're next.
I'm going to have to agree with Robert on that. I think this opens up a potential can of worms that can go in the legal route, but it's at the very least very awkward to have a vendor that we might end up with a problem with their work, and it becomes a sticky situation when they're also a homeowner. So I don't think it's a good idea for homeowners to be vendors.
All right, thank you. Next, we have Thomas.
I think I like to agree with Sunny regarding the opportunity to show your skill. If you have the license and you have all of the credentials, and most people are motivated to get continuous contract. And when you're a vendor, you're motivated to do an excellent job, or you're dropped out of you've lost the chance to really better yourself and better other people around you. So I think it's I think if we have a background and if he has the work skills, the work habit. Now, we've all had times where we had bad vendors, and we've all had experiences of having a bad vendor, but we've also had experience of having good vendors. And so I think it's a matter of a judgment, and I think it can go either way.
Thank you. Next, Renee.
Okay, so we seem to be kind of split here. When I first heard about this, I did my research. I went out to CAI. They have an online chat blog and so on. Best practices for the majority of the HOAs is not to hire homeowners. To Thomas's point, we've all hired bad contractors. The challenge comes in is when it's almost like hiring your nephew. If they do a bad job and you have to fire them, you forever have a difficult Thanksgiving dinner. So there are lots of vendors, and there's lots of opportunities for the folks who live here on the ranch to do business outside of the ranch. It just makes it more problematic if we hire them and we don't have a good experience. Thank you.
Thank you. Joan?
In my opinion, it could go either way, but I think from a psychological, sociological standpoint, if it did turn out bad, it could, depending on the contractor, if they're not really all that professional, within their own business dealings and the way they do things, it could turn very ugly. But then at the same time, I do, you do have to give people chances, but then there would need to be a very good vetting process, as to the bidding process and how that all works. And it would need to be very clear and very concise to anyone bidding on work as to what the guidelines are. It's not personal, it is the way it is, right? That's my opinion on it.
All right, thank you. We're going to start this next question off with Sunny. Sunny, and this kind of ties in, I believe, looking at it. Please explain, in your opinion, how the process to contract for work should be conducted.
Well, this is how it goes. First, you have to get 3 bids, okay? Then you talk to all 3 of these people, and then you pick the 3. If there's more than 3, you pick the 3 that you want. You bring it to the board at the executive meeting, okay? And then at that point, we interview the vendors, we talk to them, we ask for their credentials, their experience, their background, where they're located at, where they're from. Just like on Shark Tank, we ask all these questions. And then the board at that time, after we talk to all the vendors for that specific topic, then we all sit back and we vote on which vendor we want. And then that's how we decide. The board members vote on it.
All right, thank you. Next, Patricia.
Okay, can you repeat the question, please?
Please explain, in your opinion, how the process to contract for work should be conducted.
Okay, I believe that we should open it up for bids. Once we get the bids, we should research the contractor to make sure that the contractor has all the proper licenses and documentations and tools and everything that is needed so that we stay above the law. Then I think we need to interview the contractor and get a very clear picture of what he's going to do. Explain to him that we're not going to continuously have these change orders and things like that. Because in my experience so far, I've noticed the change orders become more than the actual project. So we need to make sure that they are very clear on our project and very clear what the end result the association, the homeowners want, and make sure that even if we have to go out and view some of their other projects, take the time to go and view some of their other projects and see what they've done and talk to their other people.
Thank you. All right, next, Carolyn.
I think the first step in going out to bid for vendors is to make sure we know pretty clearly, as much as we can, what the need is. And with those vendors, to make sure that we're comparing apples to apples, because sometimes the vendors, they're not clear on what they're providing in their bid. And we really need a clear breakdown of what each vendor is bringing to the table. I think sometimes we've gotten caught up in that where everybody wasn't on the same page. So we need to know what we want. We can learn from our vendors and them explaining what they will do. And we need to have that broken down clearly so that when we talk to another vendor, we make sure what exactly they're going to do. And then the third one, hopefully we can get 3. Sometimes we can't. So I think it's a matter of very closely looking at what each vendor is offering for the price. And that's my thoughts on the matter. Thank you.
All right, Thomas.
Well, I think, like it's been said, closely venting these potential vendors is the way of going. And another thing is utilizing a lot of the city and the county inspectors, depending on the project that you're doing, relying on their expertise as to, because we're very limited in what we're doing. So I think it can be done, but it does take a lot of venting and utilizing, like I say, the city and the county with their inspectors and stuff, and asking them, getting the information from them too. What are we looking at? I think it could help us all the way around.
All right, thank you. Next, we have Renee.
Thanks, Oscar. Okay, so on the 2 years that I've been on the board, I've worked on two really large projects, the RV lot and the pool restrooms. The very first thing, I made some notes here, is the board needs to determine what the scope is. We need, as the deliberative body, to decide what the heck is it that we want to do. We then need to develop an RFP, which is a request for a proposal, where you document all of those things. You know, you want this kind of a hand dryer, you want this kind of a sink, or this tall of a fence. You get that signed off with the board so that we're all playing from the same hymnal, so to speak. Then you go out to bid. You go out to bid for as many people as will entertain it. And of course, like the RV lot, we went out with 7. We came back with 4, 3 of which were reasonable. And then you have presentations from the vendors. You ask the questions. The board members get to do that due diligence so that we are covered by the business judgment.
That's the time right there. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Joan?
So can you repeat the question again?
Sure. Please explain, in your opinion, how the process to contract for work should be conducted.
So getting the contract should be conducted is what the question is, basically. Okay. I can't expand too much more than what the others have stated, in that there needs to be a very good vetting process in place. But I totally agree with, you know, all the board members coming together and really, you know, getting down to the nitty gritty of what they're looking to have accomplished at the end of the day, and then going out to bid. And I do agree with the RFP and the RFQ process. I've worked through that many, many times, and it's a very good process, and it's very, very detailed, and you get everything you need out of the process to make a decision.
All right, thank you. And Robert?
So I would just add a little bit before what Renee said and a little bit after that, and what everyone else said. First thing I would look at is a budget. If we know we've got a project that we're looking at, we've got to make sure we've got a budget in place to cover that project, and we've got to approve that budget. Got to talk about the budget, got to figure out where the money's going to come from for the budget. It's going to be capital expenses, is it going to be reserves, is it going to be operating? And then on the tail end of what was already said, I would say that you also need to follow up and make sure that whatever the contract is that applies to that particular vendor is airtight. It's got to be written in a way that protects the association. There is never a contract that is presented to us that you cannot negotiate. And if you don't have the energy or the desire to at least negotiate minimally, then we're not doing our job, because our job is to protect the association, save as much money as we can, and still get the job done. That's all I would add to it.
All right, thank you. Now, for the next question, we're going to start at the top again, and this one's going to be for you, Patricia. What is your process for making decisions?
My process for making decisions. First, I need to get a clear understanding of what is being asked of me, what I'm being asked to decide on. Then I need to do my own research to know what is the right, what is the wrong, and ask questions. I am a question asker continuously, and an emailer to get answers. So when I try to make a decision, I try to think of it as a homeowner, not as a board member doing it for a homeowner, but as a homeowner. Everything that we do is based on for the 2,677 homes in our community, to make it better for our community. So, like I said, I do my research. Definitely do a lot of research. I definitely ask You're welcome.
Thank you. Carolyn.
What I've discovered through my varied career is that the decision-making process is similar across the board, including nursing. I'm an RN, and the decision-making process is similar in that you identify or assess what the problem is, and then you gather the relevant information. Once you have that, then you identify alternative possible solutions, alternatives, and then you compare and weigh the evidence, and then you choose one, and you make a decision. And following that, you implement it. And always following implementation is an evaluation as to whether that decision worked or not. And if it did, great. If not, then you kind of go back and review the whole process. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Next, Thomas.
Could you mind if I hear the question again?
What is your process for making decisions?
The process of making a decision, naturally trying to gather as much information I can and about the particular project, and then seeking the help of other experts in that particular field regarding that particular project, so that I have a clear understanding of what is involved, and then doing the vetting process of choosing someone to work the project and have the confidence in them to do so. But I think that's exactly what my process is, really trying to lean on as much expertise as I can from others who have experienced this, and then going back to them. I have a contractor I had for 30 years, and he's works out fine.
Thank you. All right. Renee.
So the decision-making process,
You're muted.
Renee, you're muted.
oh my God, and that was so brilliant too. I'm sorry. Is not to jump to a conclusion, which is everyone's first inclination. So I ask a lot of open-ended questions of experts, like everyone else has talked about. I try not to ask for people's opinions, because sometimes that will sway you. And so I really try to lean into the data. So I document the data, and then I try to come to my own conclusion. And then afterwards, having a postmortem, like, was that the right decision? As a board, we can discuss what went right, what went wrong, so that we all learn from that. I'm sure I'm up to my 1 minute already. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Joan.
So in my field that I'm currently in right now, my mind constantly automatically goes to what we call a risk assessment. So, what is the urgency of the decision needing to be made, first of all? Is something that's got to be made like in the next 2 minutes, or is it something that I can take time on and do some research and ask some more questions? So that's the first thing. And then I do collaborate with, experts that have a lot more time in whatever, or mentors in the field, and I'll ask them questions. I do ask lots of questions. It's just my nature. And I do know how to research. So I look into things, and then narrowing the scope. It may be something that's very wide and broad that could be narrowed down and done quicker. So kind of the steps that I go through.
Okay. Robert. You're muted.
So my process is similar to everyone else's in the first stage, and that is information gathering. I guess that through all my years, both in the military and as well as in my career after that, I was always the person that was analyzing everything. So I've got a penchant for analyzing anything and everything. I mean, You know, I play the what if game with every idea that comes before me. What if this, what if that? I also put together what I call a harms benefit analysis. So I'll put down on a piece of paper, whatever the issue is, on one side, here are all the benefits, and on the other side, here are all the harms. And by the time I finish that process, one of those two is going to outweigh the other one. And that's usually how I arrive at my decision. But basically, it's really about information gathering and then making the best logical, rational reason for you that you can make, knowing that you're going to feel comfortable after you've made that decision. No regrets, period.
All right, thank you. And Sunny. Sunny, are you there?
Yes, I can, you know. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so my process for making decisions, well, first of all, I agree with what Thomas said in the very beginning. And also the second thing is that normally the home is the one that brings it to us. So homeowners are very valuable to me and Pat, because that's what we do. I get the information from the homeowner, the history, we found out that fence has been broke for 2 years. Okay, so that's something to look at. We don't need to find out who's at fault. We need to fix it. It doesn't matter who's at fault. We need to fix it. Okay, and then once I get all the history from the homeowner, if that's what I'm dealing with, then I'll see if it's urgent decision or whatever. I'll take it to my board president, and then if she agrees, if Mona agrees that it's something that needs to be taken care of right away, then we take it to the board and do it in that process like that. But it always starts out with the homeowners, because they are the most important people in this ranch. They pay for everything that we do. They pay for everybody but the board members. We're the only ones that don't get paid. So the homeowners are very important to us. Their money, their funds takes care of us.
Thank you. All right, thank you. All right, for the next question, we are going to start off with Carolyn. What do you believe is the role of a director managing our HOA?
A director has many roles. First and foremost, they're responsible for making good financial decisions that impact our HOA. And they have to do that with exercising their fiduciary responsibilities. And with that, they have to have the integrity, of course, the intelligence, but then the integrity to make those kind of decisions. And so it all goes back to that code of conduct and what they're there for, basically. So aside from, making decisions on how we spend your money, the homeowners, it's a matter of ensuring that the maintenance of the common areas are done and that rule enforcement takes place without favoritism. Making sure that the collection process is done properly.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next, Thomas.
Yes. Question, please.
What do you believe is the role of a director managing the HOA?
To be open-minded, to listen to the homeowners, listen to the other direct members, and gather as much knowledge as you possibly can to try to make good, strong decisions that's going to be productive to our cause, and making sure our community maintains its grace that it has right now. That's it.
All right, thank you. All right, next, Renee.
Could you repeat that for me, Oscar?
Sure. I'm going to make just a quick comment here. If you're having internet trouble, a couple of you are, sometimes you could turn your video off and your sound will come through. So if that's what you need to do, just understand if that's what you need to do. If you see it on your end that it's low bandwidth. The question is, what do you believe is the role of a director managing the HOA?
A director has to do a number of different things. First, we have a fiduciary responsibility to our homeowners to abide by the laws, the Davis-Stirling Civil Code, We need to exercise good, sound business judgment. And I believe that having a business background actually helps you with that. We have to understand our governing documents, of course. We have to foster a sense of community within the Sunnymead Ranch. And I think directors really need to do that 30,000-foot view so that we can look at long and short-term planning and not get into the minutia, not tell Elisa how to do her job, not tell Kim how to do her job. Our job is to oversee the operation. We are the directors, and we're not down in the trenches. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Joan.
Just going down the list of some of the things I thought of just from my past roles is number one, sound decision making, enabling, helping others to come together, work together, play nice in the same sandbox, positive attitude, not micromanage their other, peers, but work together in a positive manner, and engage with the homeowners, in a positive way.
All right, thank you. And Robert.
Can you repeat the question again, Oscar?
Sure. What do you believe is the role of a director managing the HOA?
So I think there are several things that we need to be doing as directors. Number one, making sure we do our due diligence. Make sure that we're doing exactly what we should be doing when we're looking at issues that come before us. We should be acting in good faith, and whatever decisions we make, they're based on that good faith effort. We should always avoid conflicts of interest. The last thing we want is anyone to question our integrity. We should also maintain confidentiality. What we talk about as directors should not be shared with the community because it is confidential in nature and involves the homeowners a lot of times. And we also should just make sure that we're good stewards of the association's assets. That means that we've got to always be responsible for making sure that our common areas are maintained, whatever needs to be done to make sure that they're functioning correctly, make sure that they look good, make this association something that we're all proud to be a part of.
All right, thank you. Sunny?
The first thing, you have to love this job and want to do it. You got to care about people. Okay, you got to care about our HOA. Once you have that passion, then when you get on the board, then you become, your next thing is your fiduciary duty. You have to watch out for the homeowners, for the HOA, watch out for the staff, watch vendors, watch out for everybody that needs to be protected that comes on the association. We have to get things done as fast, economical, and safety as possible. Of course, go forward for the final decisions. We got to look for the good and the bad and try to make improvements and try to make changes to make things for our homeowners. Our homeowners are very valuable. We have a thankless job. We don't get paid in that office down there at the association. So we have to make sure we have a fiduciary duty first and then take care of the homeowners and all that. I really believe in taking care of my homeowners. They're very important to me.
Thank you, Sunny.
Thank you.
And final, Patricia.
Okay, role of director. Role of director is the person that meets with all the homeowners, talks to all the homeowners, understands what the homeowners are looking for, and figures out how we can accommodate homeowners. What we do in the best interest of all of our homeowners. We analyze things, we research things, we get the lowest bids for things, we try to save money and work very hard to make it a beautiful place for everybody. I need to stay on top of our vendors to make sure they are doing their jobs. We need to stay on top of our bills, our invoices, to make sure that they're correct. We found many invoices incorrect over the past few months. So we do need to stay on top of that as well. And it's very important because there's a lot of money being spent on late fees and charges, and we are stopping that.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you. All right, moving on to the next question, and this is going to go to Thomas. Try to word this one right. Knowing that there's been several issues with the RV storage lot in regards to theft and damage, what are your thoughts and plans to address the problem?
Well, first of all, depending on what kind of budget we have to work with, one of the items that we'll have is probably have a camera system that covers the entire lot. And so that, and someone in it could be the guard that sits at the gate or whatever, that we have a video sighting of the space, because you have some expensive vehicles there, and as W.C. Fields said, anything worth having is worth stealing. So you will kind of eliminate that. Other things is that and get from time to time to have security walking through and visualizing what's going on in the lot. But the main thing too is have plenty of light so that you're not in the dark, so to speak.
All right.
But I think a great camera would be a help.
Thank you. Next, we have Renee.
Before I launch in, I'm getting text that my audio is bad. Is this better, Elisa?
That is much better, yes. That's why I mentioned sometimes if you turn the video off, the audio will be better.
You know, I didn't put my headset on because I didn't want to mess up my hair. So what can I say? So would you be so kind, Oscar, to restate the question for me?
Knowing there have been several issues with the RV storage lot, theft, damage, and property, what are your thoughts and ideas to address the problem?
I've had many conversations recently when I'm out talking to homeowners about the RV lot. I want to be perfectly clear. We have DSL access at that lot, which is circa 1980, maybe 90, if we're lucky. I have gone there with Spectrum and Frontier. There is no availability of like fiber optics or anything, unless of course we trench at a tune of like $115,000. We have gone and entertained or satellite brokers to get us like maximum 3 megs. We need 30 to run our cameras. We have cameras, they just cannot transmit. We actually bounced a signal off of the church over on Heacock to our lot to see if that would be a possibility. That did not work either. So while we have issues, it's not for lack of trying on the part of the board, and not that we've given up.
Thank you.
But we certainly have done due diligence.
Thank you. And
Thanks.
next we have Joan.
Well, I know this topic has come up many times because I've seen it, you know, on Nextdoor as well as, you know, in our newsletter and that. And I had thought about the cameras, but I didn't know of the issue with the internet, which is key. I've even thought about the fencing, but then I've looked at the fencing. Well, because I've heard like people jumping over the fence and stealing things and, you know, stuff like that. But we do have security guards, but are they really walking the perimeter? Are they really available as much as they should be? I don't know. I mean, honestly, it sounds like the board has already done extensive things as it relates to the RV lot, but apparently it is still a problem and it is something that needs to be addressed. So.
All right, thank you. Robert?
Thank you, Oscar. Well, as has been said before by others, this is a problem that's been there, and it's not that we're not trying to fix it. We created an ad hoc committee to sit there and come up with brainstorming ideas to help the board. This is an issue that's just been going on for years and years. Part of the problem in resolving it is we brag about technology being the savior of the day. In this case, technology is the bane of the day. I mean, for some strange reason, long-term sustainable wideband internet connectivity is just not available down there, again, on a sustainable period. So it's going to always be a hit and miss right now. I don't know what the solution is for that, but we're constantly trying to come up with better ways to protect it. Maybe one of them is an off the wall suggestion that we maybe want to invest in an RV that is owned by the association, to put the RV down there, and that's the rest place for security that can be down there on an intermittent schedule. They have the facilities there in the RV.
Thank you, Robert.
Okay.
And Sunny?
Well, the first thing I like to do is put a card reader in the middle. So homeowners have to get out and walk around to the fence and then come back and get in the car. They can get run over by the truck or anything. Also, we need more lighting down there, especially in the middle, on the outskirts. I was going to suggest at one time, put barbed under these vehicles so they couldn't steal Cadillac converters, because you ain't got no business under somebody's car or vehicle. I have a couple homeowners that want to say we can use their house to bounce a signal off. But so far, that hasn't worked out yet, but we're still working on that. We need extra fencing from the 4 feet up, because people are cutting the bottom. They're not going over the top now. They're going through the fence. So we need to put some extra solid sheets of metal with a little bit of holes in it, so that it's not easy for them to snip through or saw open the fence. We need ring down there if we can ever get it down there, electricity behind the RVs, so that we can plug up some electricity down for lighting or the ring cameras or
Thank you,
that.
Sunny.
But internet and cameras are the first thing.
Thank you. All right, Pat?
Oh, great. This is a passion of mine, the RV lot. We have met, a few of us board members have met with the RV chairman and some of the members of the RV committee and discussed things. They have some solutions that we are trying to address. We have a gentleman that has provided us a few options, and I have forwarded those to our president and our general manager to see what they think about it. We also do have security that comes down there once an hour and does actually get out of the car and patrol the lot.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying our best. And we also have a proposal to get another light pole in the center of the parking lot where it's very, very dark. These people, and not only the RV lot, but some of the other areas, they're cutting the bottom of the wrought iron fence and bending the rods out and getting in that way. And I don't know what we're going to do about that, but like I said.
Thank you, Pat.
You're welcome.
And final one, Carolyn.
I don't have really a lot to offer to this conversation. I'm aware of the problems year after year, and I know there's the committee that's working on the problems, as well as just, Renee and Robert and Pat and Sunny. They've all made contributions as to trying to find those solutions. And maybe a solution that does have some merit is what Robert mentioned, was having a small RV or camper that has restroom facilities in it and a water supply, where there is a security guard there during the hours that would need to have that close surveillance. That's all I have to offer. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And the final question will start off with Renee. As a candidate or board member, do you feel an attorney should be on a retainer for our monthly open forums, and why?
No, I believe that it is helpful to have legal counsel on retainer, of course, at meetings where we feel that there's going to be a need. They have been there before when we've had architectural appeals, things that we could, again, get ourselves into trouble to make sure that we're ADA compliant and so on. But on a regular basis, probably not. However, I have had an experience where we had legal counsel there and we were talking about something as simple as like the Halloween party in which we were going to sell tickets and serve liquor. And that raised a red flag to our legal counsel to say, yeah, you can't do that. You're going to have a liquor license. So while I don't feel the need for them to be there all the time, that when they are there for a reason, and is very helpful.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Joan?
I I definitely agree that a legal counsel needs to be on retainer for a company, for business. But I don't necessarily think they need to be on every open forum unless there is a particular topic being discussed that may cause some concern, where legal needs to come in, because it also may make homeowners not want to ask any questions. It may not, it may, make them reluctant. So, I would think that that would be an opportunity more for an open forum, is so that you feel comfortable asking questions and getting the feedback from your board, as any other time.
Thank you. Robert?
I would agree that that the attorneys do not need to be there for every meeting of the board. They shouldn't be, but they are necessary on the times when we actually do need their expertise and their input. Someone mentioned a retainer. They are already on retainer. We have a contract with them, and that contract says you're on retainer. If we need your services, we call you, and they come, and it's a set fee. It's included in the retainer fee, and nothing more. When they came in the past, and I can only reflect on the 12 years I've been on the board. For 10 of those years, we rarely saw them except for at the annual meeting. And then things changed. There were issues that came up where we needed to have their presence there to direct the board. They came because the board asked them to come. They came because it was our fiduciary responsibility to maintain a rapport with our membership at those open forums that would say, hey, this is fair and square. And to prove it, we've got legals here to verify that and vouch for that. They didn't come every meeting. They don't come every meeting, and we don't need them every meeting. But when we do, we need them there.
Thank you, Robert. All right, Sunny?
Beautiful question. First of all, in 2019, we had legal counsel there almost every single night. Okay, every single open forum. Not only that, the board had an armed guard there one night. Okay, I don't get that at all. And the lawyers, they're $400 an hour, and they sat there for at least 4 to 5 hours getting paid, and they don't say nothing. They didn't say anything. Maybe one time. And this is a sore subject with me because what's that, $1,600 every Thursday of the month, once a month? I mean, really? That's a lot of money. And that does not cover a retainer. That $400 an hour does not cover a retainer. And we asked the people, why are they here? Why do we need them? And we never, ever, ever, ever got an answer of why we need those lawyers there every open forum. 12 of them. Add that up, do the math. You do the math, okay? That's all I got to say. That's a sore subject with me.
All right, thank you. Next, Patricia.
Okay. First of all, I want to say that yes, we were having an attorney at every one of our open forums for the past year prior to COVID-19. Now, with Seabreeze as our new management company, they are working diligently with our attorneys. They are contacting the attorneys. They are getting the answers prior to the meetings. They have the answers for us, the legal answers prior to being there. Our contract with our attorneys allows them to be at our annual meeting at no charge. Other than that, they are charged. We are trying to save money on legal expenses because our legal expenses are at our second highest expense here in the ranch. And we want to cut that, and Seabreeze has begun for us, helping us cut that budget. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. And Carolyn?
Yes, I've been attending open forums for quite a few years, and it was only that one period where there was an attorney present at a series of our open forums, and that was for a good reason, because there was a lot of contentiousness among board members and involving legal issues. So in my opinion, the attorney was there just to answer any questions that might come up that need to be explained to the homeowners in attendance. So I don't think they need to be there anymore, especially if we have a harmonious board that, you know, where these things just aren't necessary to have an attorney present. It is a lot of money, and I'm not in favor of having that continuously. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. And Thomas?
Um, I haven't had very much experience with the board or any at all since I've been here, and I've lived here for 3 years. So I don't know whether or not I could really say something that would be meaningful as to why they're there and how to do that. But it may be a different way. I'm thinking that if we recorded the sessions and then just pay them to listen to the sessions recorded, how much would that save money? I don't know. Whether or not that would be meaningful, I don't know. So I think this is really out of my realm, having not known the issues as to why that they were there. But I certainly think that is a lot of money when we're talking about not protecting the thing. One other thing I'd like to add, if you don't mind, is that we were talking about the
That's time, Thomas. Thank you. All right. So I believe now, Alisa, we're going to go into the candidate 2 minutes. Is it 2 minutes? Okay. I'm going to go to the order that I have, still following the order. So each candidate, you do have 2 minutes to give your final comments, which statement that you'd like to do. I do ask that when I say it's time, it is time. And we are going to start with Joan. Joan, you're going to give your 2-minute closing.
Well, everyone, it's been a pleasure speaking this evening as well as the previous meeting. And, you know, I'm hopeful in that I can be on the board and I can be a value add for you as the homeowner, as well as for everyone on the board. With the business acumen and formal education as well as practical work experience that I have in my current and my past lives, as I always say, I think it would benefit everyone. But as well, everyone would, you know, add to me as well, as far as my knowledge base. So I'm looking forward to, you know, hopefully getting your vote and beginning to work with this team. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Robert?
Thank you, Oscar. And thank you, first of all, to all the homeowners out there who joined us tonight, as well as all of my fellow candidates who are vying for a seat on the board this year. You know, I'm not going to say a whole lot. I'll let everybody else say what they need to say, except that I think over the 12 years that I've been serving on this board, I've learned that, and it's kind of a warning to the rest of you sitting there thinking about getting on the board again or getting on for the first time. This is a thankless job. You're going to get a lot of heat for the things that you say and you do. You're going to get a lot of heat based on speculation from those who don't know what goes on inside the boardroom. You're going to get a lot of heat from those who just don't like the decisions you're making. That being said, I can't think of anything else I'd rather be doing right now, as I've done for the past 12 years, than really being part and instrumental to the way the quality of life in our association has increased year after year. I'm really proud to say that I work with a team over the years that has, for the past 8 years, kept our assessments at the same level without increasing them whatsoever, no matter what you hear. For 8 years, you've paid the same assessments. And that's really due to good stewardship from everybody that served on that board with me and who I served along with. So in closing, I just want to say, I would love to continue doing that. I would love to continue working with the people who are on the board. I'm a team player, but also I'm a leader. I don't hold back if I have something to say that I think is going to be detrimental to the community, but I'm also fair. And I said that in my resume. I can have my mind changed just as easily if you give me a good enough argument. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. When I do, call me out on it. But in the meantime, I'd like to serve another 2 years on your board as one of your directors, and I appreciate your vote. Thank you very much. And thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you. Sunny?
First of all, I think this meet candidate was kind of unfair to Carolyn Jones. I think I like the next year we have a case master that they don't know about or couldn't have known about, that we can teach for like 2 hours, like in December or November, so they can prepare themselves for these. They want to run for the board. We should have good board members, and they should be well educated. I think it's up to the board to train new people that want to run for the board. Train, give them a training class. Just any board member can do that. Okay, so that's what I suggest for next year, because I thought that Caroline, Joan, and Nels should have had a better shot at this. I think they could have done a whole lot better if they knew a lot more about this board. With that said, we are the first board to be totally transparent, and I'm bragging on this now. And I really love the way Mona has been leading us. She's doing a fabulous job. We post every 2 weeks what we've done, and there's a whole list of things that we do in 2 weeks. This board is doing an outstanding job. Pat and I normally walk the grounds, or Pat or I normally walk the grounds almost 2 or 3 times a week. Pat does it more than I do because she likes to walk. And we look for things, and don't ever let Pat see a water leak. Oh my God, all hell breaks loose. She does not play that. That's costing our HOA money, blah, blah, blah. We need to take care of that, you know. We had to get rid of a lot of vendors because they were horrible and they weren't homeowners. Can you imagine us saying, okay, we need some vendors, everybody but homeowners? Wait a minute, they got a license, they got the medical, they got everything, but homeowners can't make some of their own money back? Especially if they're licensed just like the next. Why we discriminate against the people that are paying these bills? So we placed a lot of vendors that were licensed and professional because they weren't professional, because they were doing a horrible job charging us too much money. I mean, we placed maybe 80% of our vendors,
Sunny.
maybe even more.
Thank you for that. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're going to go to Patricia.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you for your time, and thank you to the homeowners for your questions this evening. I really enjoyed trying to answer them. What I find is communications between residents and board members is essential for our growth. You out there as a homeowner, leasing, renter, you have the right to ask us questions and give us suggestions and share your thoughts with us. As your elected board member, it's my responsibility to listen and respect you, research and find the best to the best of my ability, and respond with the facts that I have found and implement any new procedure or item with pride. Since this is necessary for the good of the community, it may be timely, but it will be done diligently. As a board member, I can work with all of you. I have no problems with board members. I enjoy working with people. So with that said, I would pledge to be a team player, to work closely with my fellow board members and work for the good of our HOA, all 2,677 homes and their residents. We have learned from past what works and what doesn't work, and we want to move forward and make new decisions. At this point, I humbly ask for your vote. Tonight, I let you know I sincerely care about this community. I am working as the treasurer and have found many, many things that I would love to keep working on to make our expenses come down.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Next, we have Carolyn.
Homeowners, again, thank you for attending tonight. Hopefully I've answered your questions this evening in a way that demonstrates my ability to be an effective board member. What we didn't touch on, I don't believe, was short and long-term goals that each of us may have for our community. And one of the things I think needs to happen is just for the short term, just make sure that the current projects that aren't quite finished do get finished. For example, the landscaping at the North Shore, that all the gates are fixed and in working order. Maintenance of the wrought iron fencing that's completed throughout the community. Evaluate and repair those solar panels for the pool, whatever is needed. And also implementing that some type of security at the RV vent. And then long term, basically just good strategic planning to keep everything in good working order and making good decisions. Every single dollar that's spent on your behalf, your money, we wanted to protect your home values and also to keep your assessments low. That's something I think we all want. So I hope tonight I've earned your vote, and I thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Thomas.
Okay, I want to say that I really appreciate this experience of being in front of the many homeowners that decided to log in. And I'm actually a newcomer. I have never been on this board. I've been on other boards, but I haven't been on this board. And I have a lot to learn, but I'm willing to put in the time. And I really would look forward to giving you my best if I'm chosen to be one of the members. And that's about all I have to say.
All right, and Renee.
Hi, guys. Again, thank you. Thank you to our many homeowners who are online. I really do appreciate it. I strongly believe, and I hope you do as well, that the qualifications and the traits of your candidates and your directors are linked to having positive outcomes on your property values. So I believe we actually didn't talk about experience. I have 30 years experience in business, so I have a lot of great business background. I also am the technology person of this board. Something about my goals: I want to increase our property values by consistent enforcement of the CC&Rs. We do know that our community is aging. You know, we're 30-something years old. And so we need to enforce the CC&Rs. And that is a change from my perspective 2 years ago, where I was the soft-hearted board member. And I was told by Sunny and David and Robert and George that we need consistent enforcement. And I do realize that today. Communication is key to me. I'm sure you guys are tired of seeing my communications on Nextdoor, but communications with homeowners is key. I believe that we need to talk about long and short-term goal planning. You know, where do you want improvements? Do you want the pool heated? Do you want to have a putting green? What we want and what we're willing to pay for, sometimes there's a disconnect, and it's important that we work together with homeowners to find that out. To Robert's point, we definitely want to keep our assessments low, and that's always a goal, but not at the expense of deferring maintenance for our community. So that's what I stand for. I hope you agree with me. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. You can reach me at Renee@Sunnymeadranch.com.
Thank you, Renee. So I'd like to close off a couple of things. I'd like to thank Alyssa and Tony for assisting and asking me to, of course, come back. Just for the candidates, the directors, and for the homeowners, I am not a homeowner, part of the association. So there is no personal interest on myself on being on this. As I review the questions, as I mentioned earlier, I look for questions that they're new to me, but I will ask them from the homeowners. So there's no interest in me to ask any specific question, how and why. I try to decipher them the best way that could be turned into a question. The benefit of this is that I could be fair in asking them straight out what the homeowners are asking. I'd like to thank the candidates, Pat Escobar, Thomas Knowles, Joan Parrish, Robert Riddick, Renee Osborne, Carolyn Goler, and Sunny Williams for allowing me to do this again and to participate. For the homeowners, I'm going to ask you this and a little comment. It has been long. It's almost been 2 hours, but if you think about it, it's really a short time process to learn everything that there is about a candidate, about the processes, about what's going on. With the age of technology that we're in now, it's at your fingertips just to go and find out what is it that an HOA is supposed to do? What is it that a director is supposed to do? And I truly believe that even though some of you may have frustrations, I believe education and understanding of the reasoning why things are set in place or why they are that will help eliminate that and help you put at ease. So if you could take the time to research really everything that was discussed tonight, and something you don't understand and some things I'm going to look up, so you understand the reasoning why things are done, because there's always a reason why. And if it doesn't work, reach out to your directors, reach out to your community, talk to your neighbors, find out who, why, when, and where, and what is the best way to move forward. So thank you again, everybody, for taking this time out. I truly appreciate being a part of this. I've been a resident of Myrna Valley for well over 26 years plus. I am currently looking for a home. Who knows? I may be in there, and if I am, I won't be able to do this anymore.
Come on up.
Yeah. So, but thank you again, and thank you to the candidates for, they weren't given these questions ahead of time. They were not. So the answer straight from the hip. So thank you again for giving me the opportunity, and I give it back to Alyssa.
Thank you, Oscar.
Thank you, Oscar.
Thank you, Oscar. Thank you, homeowners.
That's all
Thank
we
you,
have.
homeowners. I appreciate it.
Alyssa, can you tell our homeowners where this will be posted? I see that you are recording this event.
Yes, I will. We are finalizing our website this week, so it will be posted on the website. And if anyone wants a copy, they can reach out to me directly, and I will provide it.
Okay.
How many
perfect.
homeowners were in? How many homeowners were?
At one point, we
Watching.
had 37. It fluctuated a little bit.
37?
47.
47. Thank you, homeowners,
Oh,
for
that's an
taking the
all-time high,
time.
ain't it?
That is great. That's
Yes.
great. Thank you, home.